In today's video, we're going to talk about the homes that you want to avoid purchasing on Vancouver Island in 2026. Now, I'm going to give you information on the types of homes, but most importantly, it's going to be updated, relevant, and current information. There's so many videos out there that have outdated information. And in order for you and your family to make an educated financial decision, you need to have updated information going into 2026. Now, you'll want to stick around because I'm going to share you advice that we give our real estate clients just like you that are making the move to Vancouver Island. Now, my team and I are the #1 relocation team on all Vancouver Island. We help hundreds of people just like yourself buy homes in neighborhoods that they're looking to get without having those hidden expenses. Speaking of that, you'll want to stick around to the end because I'm going to systematically break down the top 3 biggest hidden expenses when people are buying a home on Vancouver Island in 2026. This information alone will save you tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, when we're talking about homes to avoid, there are obviously going to be some exceptions. So for some of the people watching this video, you'll say, you know what, this fits my budget, or you know what, I'm okay with this in the midterm. That's okay. We want to make sure that we're giving the general public and you, the listener, the information that you need to make that educated financial decision about your biggest investment in your life. So let's go get after it right now. I want to give a big shout out and a thank you to the thousands of subscribers that tune in each and every week to our channel. Please keep the comments coming down below. We love to hear your input, and a lot of the new videos that we're making right now are based on the questions that you are asking. Now, if you're new to the channel, you'll want to click on that subscribe button down below and tap that bell so you'll be the first to get information about the real estate market on Vancouver Island and, of course, the lifestyle on the island. Now, if you're looking to make a move to the island, all of our contact details are down below. Reach out and set up a Zoom call to me, Justin White, or one of our licensed agents on our team here at High Tide Real Estate Group. Now, no matter if you're 9 weeks or 9 months away from making the move, let's get those questions answered today so we can make the move smooth and easy for you and your family. The first type of home to avoid are homes that are in older neighborhoods. Now, in the past, if you had a newer home and you had old homes on the one side, old homes on the other side, you knew that eventually those homes would be taken down, especially if they were built in the early 1900s, and they would be rebuilt. So what that would do is that would increase the value of your home and your property eventually, but times have changed. In fact, in the last 10 years, what the BC government has realized is that they needed to make more housing because there was a housing shortage in our province. And what happened is they created the SMUH zoning. And this was something that the municipalities had until June the 30th, 2024 to comply into their building scheme. Now, this SMUH, what this allows for is on a single family or on a single lot inside of a city or inside of a town, you used to have 1 single family dwelling. Now you can have up to 4 dwellings. So in the past, you would have a home and you would have maybe a rental suite if it had a basement, you'd have the main living area, and possibly you'd have a suite above that on the secondary floor or in an outdoor carriage building. And in order to create more density in these multi-family units, like townhouse complexes on a smaller parcel of land, they created the SMUH. Now, if you had an older home, you could take down that older home and now you can build up to 4 individual stratified properties. In the past, when you had those rental units down below or on the second floor, you had to sell that under 1 title. But now on that same parcel of land, you could have up to 4 different titles. So a lot of investors started looking at, well, we can make a lot more money because land is something they're not making more of. So you can have a smaller city lot and have up to 4 different titles on that one city lot. Now, what that did is if you bought in that area of the old traditional old neighborhood and you had on the left and the right side older homes and they've ripped it down and put up these SMUH multifamily, what's going to happen is they had a higher height restrictions, which also now shadowed your home in the center. So in the old times, this used to be at an advantage. Right now, we are advising our clients to avoid these older style neighborhoods, especially in the early 1900s. Now, in the Comox Valley area, now with this SMUH zoning, there are some particulars that you'll want to know about. So if you have a standard single family dwelling and now you're going, great, I'm going to make 4 different dwellings all inside one house, that's not going to work. The reason being is it has to conform to building schemes and also building standards and safety standards for 2026. So then instead of them being stacked up, they've got to be a vertical concentration. So this is why you're going to see a lot of the new townhomes that are skinny townhomes, but they're going to be 3 floors high. And in between each one of those dwellings, they're going to have fire separation with fireproof either drywall or concrete with drywall or concrete with insulation, ICF construction. So this way, if in case there are a fire that happens, it's not going to spread through the whole development. So you'll want to reach out. Here's your disclaimer. Reach out to your local municipality, be it Victoria, Nanaimo, Comox Valley, Campbell River, and find out what is the particular SMUH or multifamily zoning requirements, because this can be a great opportunity, but we also don't want to get you into any trouble when you're looking at it. The best thing to do is when we're looking at older properties is to look at ones that already had what's called an infill. They've already got, the inside has already been gutted out, but the original building and the structure is already there. That way you're moving into it and it's move-in ready, and you're not going to worry about having any zoning changes or any of the building scheme changes that are going on with this new zoning that's happening all across BC. Now, we're in the early phases of this SMUH zoning rollout. So if you're looking for an older home, what we would advise is looking for one that's already been fully renovated or looking for a home that's already surrounded by newer homes. That way you're not having to worry about being towered over by redevelopments. The other advice that we give is look for corner lots. That way, if you're going to be built up around, it's only going to be on the one side, and corner lots always hold the property value at a higher amount. So when we're looking at BC assessments, corner lots always overpower the pricing on lots that are sandwiched between 1, 2, or 3 different lots. The next type of property to avoid is to avoid a leasehold property. Now, we have a lot of clients that reach out and they're like, Justin, this is an incredible deal. What's wrong? Why is this property priced so good? It's because it's leasehold. Now, leasehold properties tend to be 20 to 25% lower than a freehold property. But the problem with a leasehold property, you don't actually own the property. And it can have a leasehold of maybe 20 or 30 years, but what's going to happen at the end of it? We don't know at this point here. As well, with a leasehold property, you're going to be paying a monthly fee for that leasehold property. So even though it's not like a stratified property where maybe they're taking care of the garbage or the building insurance or the snow removal, a leasehold property tend to be your responsibility as a homeowner to take care of the extra costs, but you don't own the property. Now, land is king, and we advise our clients to get as much property as possible. There's an old saying, it says, they're not building any more land, so buy what you can right now. Now, again, a leasehold property is something that you don't own. Now, it can seem really attractive. Of course, the price is really attractive and you can get into it, but there are issues with lenders that will not lend on leasehold properties. So you'll want to double check with your bank or your mortgage broker to see if this is possible. Now, with our team, we want to get you into that home that ticks most of your boxes, but we also want to put on our investor glasses. Being an investor myself, owning multiple rental properties, I'm also thinking 5, 10, 20 years down the road. And when we look at a leasehold property, their normally days on market are higher than an average freehold property. The reason is people are skeptical about it buying that home because they don't own the property. So you've got to think about it. Somewhere down the line, you are going to have to resell that property, and you could have challenges reselling a leasehold property. And of course, more money out than what your ownership is. So double check when we're looking at a leasehold property. Let's look at other options of homes, because even if it's slightly higher now, there'll be a higher appreciation rate down the road. When we look at statistically, freehold property always outdoes a leasehold property in the long run for appreciation. Now, as I mentioned, my team and I are the #1 relocation team on all Vancouver Island. So we work with people just like you. And leasehold properties are another reason that you want to work with a qualified, licensed real estate agent that knows the area that you're going to buy in. They know the intricacies, they know the properties, they know the neighborhoods, and they can help you to avoid costly mistakes in the future, because moving to a new area, of course, it costs a lot of money. It's also a lot of stress on your family. And if you're relocating for a job, that could be very detrimental to the financial future of your family. Now, all of our contact details are down below. Set up a Zoom call with myself, Justin White, or one of our licensed agents from the High Tide Real Estate Group. You know, we've been around for years doing exactly what you're looking for, helping you to relocate. Now, it doesn't matter if it's now or if it's 5 or if it's 10 years down the road, my team and I will be here to help you. Reach out, we're happy to answer any of your questions. The next type of property that you want to avoid buying are irregular-shaped lots. Lots that are shaped like wedges or triangles. These can be very problematic. Now, typically in the Comox Valley, we're looking for rectangular shaped lots. Now, our average size here is 50 feet wide, 125 foot deep, and they average between 4,000 to 8,000 square feet. Why do we want to look at rectangular shape? Is for future development. Now, you may think, well, I'm not going to be developing it. It already has a home on it. Yeah, but 40 to 50 years down the road, your whole neighborhood could be rezoned and redeveloped. And when developers are coming in, they're looking for rectangular pieces because they are a lot easier to work with. The other thing they're looking for are level pieces of land. So if your land is on a slope or up on a hill, or it has a lot of rolling hills through it, that will be more problematic for development in the future. Now, the other thing we want to think about when we talk about irregular or odd-shaped properties are setbacks. When you look at the property, there are going to be setbacks from how far from the sides, the back, and the front that you can develop or build to. So when we're talking about irregular shaped properties, now you're gonna have, to be really creative with building schemes and floor plans, and it can make it a little obtrusive and awkward and really create an odd flow throughout the property and also throughout the home. Now, when talking about the property, we also want to look at where is the location. Now, in real estate, location, location, location. Now, we have a lot of beautiful parks here. We have crown land, we have forest. So when we're looking at buying a home, it's advantageous to look at properties that back on to these types of green spaces. And on Vancouver Island, we have a lot of green space. It's probably one of the reasons you're looking at making the move to the island in the first place, is to enjoy nature. Now, these areas that are around schools, greenways, crown land, they are not going to be developed. So now the property value will hold very steady and it will increase at a higher rate compared to properties that are back to back, or again, coming with those irregular shaped properties. So when we're working with our clients, we're going to be advising them according to the demographics of that area. Now, speaking of schools, looking at areas that are close in proximity to either elementary schools, high schools, daycares, or North Island College will also guarantee a higher appreciation rate for the properties. So what we want to do is we want to avoid those irregular shape. We want to look for either square or rectangular shape. We also want to look at according to the demographic of location, getting close to those crown lands, those parks, those trails, and also the schools. Now, pro tip, when we're working with our clients, we're also going to be pulling up what is the zoning that's around there, because future potential, there are land assemblies that are happening right now as we're seeing more multi-family units that are being built on Vancouver Island as well. Very first time, we're seeing buildings that are over 6 stories high being built. In our city of Courtenay alone, you drive down Cliff Avenue, you're going to see new development. And what they're doing is they're buying out the older homes that were built in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s and paying a premium dollar because they'll buy multiple parcels of land in one area and do what's called a land assembly. They'll rip them down and they're going to put up a multi-family condo unit where they can have 50, 100, 150 units units so that the developers are maximizing their dollar. So when we're looking at property, we're going to be looking at the short term, but also we want to look at the appreciation over the long term, because eventually you're going to be selling that property. And a lot of our clients started buying smaller properties and end up upsizing as their family grows in place. Now, the next type of property that I'm going to mention avoiding in 2026 may come as a little shock, but you want to avoid renovation projects. 10 to 15 years ago, you'd look for a property that had good bones, you'd gut it out, you'd reno it, you could put it on the market, flip it, make a really good living. In fact, when HGTV came out with all these renovations and flip it shows, the market went crazy with people looking for older, outdated homes where they could make a quick buck, sometimes making $200,000-300,000 on just one home alone. Now in 2025, 2026, we've seen a definite change in not just the housing market, but also the building market. Building supplies have gone up to 35% and labor has gone up 50%. So if we look 10 years ago, a home that you would have bought as a flip, you may have put $7,500 to $100,000 in renovations in. That same home today can be anywhere from $125,000 to $250,000 in just renovation costs, not including your holding costs in the time that you're renovating. Now, the BC government also put a slight kibosh to this renovation phase that was going on as well. Now, another reason that people are avoiding renovation properties and projects right now is speculation tax. Now, this came out when there was a housing shortage in BC, and our government, in order to slow the housing economy down, brought out the speculation tax for people that were flipping homes. How it works is that if you do sell that home in the first 12 months, you're going to be paying a 20% tax on the capital gain, meaning your profit on that home when you go to sell. Now, this goes all the way up to 24 months. So if you sell between 12 and 24 months, it's a sliding scale, but you're always going to be paying speculation tax back to the British Columbia government when you sell that home. Now, typical flippers, they want to sell within that 1 year period. They don't want to buy and hold. So this has really slowed down the market in people who are doing renovation, fix and flips. Now, I would advise on avoiding these renovation projects unless your intent is to live in it. It tends to take 4 to 5 years to get enough appreciation in order for you to make some profit on a home, because you've got to consider it. You've got your purchase price, you've got your closing costs, you've got your renovation costs, you've got your labor costs, then you've got, when you go to list it, you've got your listing cost and commission for both the buyers and the seller's agents, and then of course you're going to be paying that speculation. So these tended to add up, and what it's done is it bumped a lot of the people that were flippers looking for these renovation projects at deals, because the deals aren't there anymore. Property values have come up, the cost of building supplies have gone up, the cost of trades have gone up, speculation tax. So these are the type of properties right now that we would avoid showing our clients or being able to promote in 2026. Now, the most attractive homes right now are the homes that have already been previously renovated or newer style homes. The people that are making the move here, 92% of the buyers do not live in Vancouver. They're making the move from Toronto, Winnipeg, Calgary, and Vancouver in the Lower Mainland. Why they're moving here is to enjoy the lifestyle, not to do renovations. So right now, in the highest demand are homes that have already been renovated or newer homes, and these are typically the homes that are holding their property value even in a market that goes a little soft, that's turning into a buyer's market. These homes are still in demand. Now, we've been discussing the homes that you'll want to avoid, but let's start discussing the components of the home that could cost you tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars in our specific area. Now, if you haven't already watched our home, This is Valley View. That video is going to talk about the homes that are in the Valley View area of the Comox Valley. Now, this is a great family-oriented area, but the homes are averaging in the time span of being built in 1990 all the way up to the early 2000s. And if you're not familiar with home construction in that period, there are some pitfalls that you have to be aware of. Number one thing you want to be aware of is poly B piping. Now, this was the only style of piping that was used between 1990 and 1999. Characteristically, how you're going to know you have poly B plumbing is it's a plastic style of plumbing that is gray in color with copper crimped fittings onto it. And when we're looking at homes that are in that date range, that's the very first thing that we're going to look for. Where you're going to see that? Around the hot water tanks, around washing machines, also underneath the cabinetry in places like bathroom sinks or kitchen sinks. You're going to be looking for that gray poly B piping. Now, there was no issues with the piping itself. Where the leaks were coming from were those crimped ends. Now, a lot of insurance companies right now are either not insuring homes with poly B or they're having a poly B rider, so that's going to cost you even more. There are even a few banks that are not doing lending on homes with poly B. So you'll want to make sure that you're working with a qualified real estate agent who understands what poly B is and how to navigate through that. Now, the good news is there's a lot of plumbers out there that specialize in poly B. One of my rental properties that I own actually had poly B, and the insurance company wouldn't insure the strata. Now, the cost to have it replumbed was $8,500, which you think, it's not too bad, but then the drywall was another $5,000, the painting was another $3,000. So you can see this job quickly turned into over $16,000 to get the poly B removed and replaced with the new piping, which is plastic, but it's called PEX piping. And that PEX piping is white. Now, they've corrected the problem with the very first plastic piping that they use for plumbing, but this is something that you want to be aware with when you're looking at homes on Vancouver Island. The next housing component we want to be aware of are oil tanks. Now, back in the 1950s and 60s, oil was a way that we heated our homes. And as we're renovating these older homes, a lot of people are converting it over to either natural gas or using heat pumps. Now, the problem with the oil is that there were oil tanks, and these could either be above ground or underground. Now, the BC has a law right now that if these oil tanks have leaked out into the soil, you, the homeowner, are responsible for the cleanup. And this cleanup can be very costly. Now, if there is an above ground oil tank, very easy to see. The ones that we cannot see are the ones that we really want to be aware of. Now, these underground oil tanks, because they're made of metal, over the years they would rust and they would start to leak, and that oil would leach into the soil. Now, we've seen it in rare instances where the oil's actually leaked into the ground and it's spread out under the soil, under the property line, and gone around the next door neighbor's home. And in very rare scenarios, we've seen where they've had to actually excavate around the home, remove the foundation, which has also soaked up the oil, rebuild the foundation, put the perimeter drain, and then backfill around the neighbor's home. And in the most severe case, it's cost over $1 million. So this is something that you'll want to make sure that you take extra care and hire a professional. Now, there are companies that we deal with that actually do underground oil tank scans using infrared and X-ray, and they actually pull it around the property, and what they're looking for is empty cavities that are underground. And when they see these empty cavities, then they can use a prod, start prodding around and finding those oil tanks. Now, this is all done prior to you going unconditional and owning the property. So a qualified realtor who knows the area will be able to write that in as a subject to getting an oil tank scan done. If it's there, you'll want to back away from purchasing that property and allow the current owner to take care of not just the removal, but the potential cleanup, which can be very costly for these underground oil tanks. My team and I at High Tide Real Estate, we help families find the home that they're looking for, avoid costly mistakes, get into great neighborhoods, and also make great investment choices. Now, if you're looking to make a move to the Comox Valley, you'll want to check out our previous video. It's called Avoiding Costly Mistakes. a Google guided map tour of Courtenay. Now, what we do in this video is we break down the different areas of Courtenay. We talk about the areas you want to avoid. We'll talk about the areas that are good for investment. We'll talk about the up and coming neighborhoods. And there are some neighborhoods that may just suit what you and your family are looking for. Now, in today's video, we talked about all the different homes that you'll want to avoid buying in the Comox Valley in Vancouver Island in 2026. We talked about the renovation products. We talked about older homes. We talked about leasehold versus freehold properties. And we talked about those costly mistakes that could cost you tens of thousands of dollars when it comes to poly V piping, vinyl windows, and of course, those underground oil tanks. Now, if you're new to the channel, you'll want to click on that subscribe button down below and tap that bell so you'll be the first to get the videos about real estate on Vancouver Island and of course, lifestyle on Vancouver Island. And if you're looking to make the move to the island, all of our contact details are down below. Set up a Zoom call with me, Justin White, or one of the licensed agents at High Tide Real Estate Group. Let's get those questions answered now so we can make the move smooth and easy for you and your family. And if you're planning a trip to Vancouver Island, reach out and we can set up one of our signature exploratory tours. We'll get to meet in person, we'll tour different neighborhoods, different areas, and of course, we're gonna get out, check out some homes while you're on Vancouver Island.